Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subject is advanced corporate finance, and today we will discuss in detail the voting procedure that is the right of the common shareholder. Learning agenda today is the right. We will discuss right to a common shareholder, right of common shareholders, majority voting procedure, cumulative voting procedure, and then finally dual class of common stock. Moving further, right of common shareholders. What are the right of common shareholder? We will discuss it. Right to income. Common shareholder is entitled to share in the earnings of the company only if cash dividends are paid via approval by the board of directors. These basically the company are run in this way. These are shareholder, common shareholder, they elect board of director, this election is a proper convened meeting, AGM. And general meeting. This is the forum in which the shareholder cast their vote and elect the board members. So when these shareholder have right to distribute the earnings or the profit of the company amongst these shareholders, which is called dividend, and these dividend are at the discretion when the board of directors elected by these shareholder approve it. Then they will be able to receive these dividend or right to income approval. Further, right to purchase a new share. It is also the right of the shareholder when the company issue a new shares. When a company issue a new share, then it is the right of the shareholder that these shares should be offered to these existing shareholder first and then to the outside director. Let me finish it first, then we will discuss it. So it is the right of the existing shareholder that they will buy the share who are which are issued by the company. Let's suppose the company have going to issue new share of 5 lakh new share. Then in this case the company will give first offer to the existing shareholder, and it will be given on pro rata basis to these existing shareholder. The corporate charter of the state statute may provide, means country law is basically dealing this right of the shareholder. The current shareholders with the preemptive right, which require that these shareholders be first offered any new share issued by any new common share issued by the company, or an issue that can be converted into common stock, not common stock only but convertible security as well. What is voting right? As we discussed that shareholders are the owner of the company, these are the real owner, and they are entitled to elect the board of directors. Basically, corporate governance is exercised or is a mechanism in which the shareholder of the company elect board of director in annual general meeting. Then these board members or board of director monitor and oversee the management on behalf of these shareholders and ensure their interest. Voting procedure examples. There are two type of, let's suppose we first we will quote an example, then we will discuss it. You are a shareholder of ACF Limited. You own 100 shares in 100,000, 1 lakh shares. As we discussed this example earlier, in 1 lakh shares. And there are 9 director position to be filled. So under majority rule, as we discussed earlier, under majority rule voting, you may cast 100 votes, 1 per share for each of the 9 director, open for maximum of 100 votes per position. Means you will cast total 900 vote, but 100 to each director. That was number 1 director, 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You will cast under majority 100 for each. That is not in your option to cast all the vote. So 100 for each you will cast these vote to each director. Under cumulative voting right, it is not like, the method is not so simple. You may cast 900 vote, 100 multiplied by 9 position for a single position. Means you can either cast 900 to one, or 900 to the second one, or 900 to this one, 300 to this one, or 100 to everyone. But you have a 900 vote, you may cast it to a single candidate or may divide it into a multiple candidate. Voting procedure example. Again, minimum vote to elect a cumulative director. Minimum vote to elect a director under cumulative rule. So what is the criteria? First is total number of voting shares that you have. Total number of voting shares multiplied by specific number of directors sought divided by total number of directors to be elected plus 1 multiply plus 1. This is the formula. For example, if you want to elect one director, let's suppose if you have total number of voting shares, specific number of director, for example, total is 100,000 share multiplied by 9 divided by 10, 9 plus 1 plus 1. So sorry, multiplied by 1 if you want to elect only one director, and you have a candidate that you want to elect it. How much vote you have to require? 100 divided by 10, that is equal to 10,000. Plus 1, that is equal to 10,000. One vote will be required to elect one director. That is basically the formula. If you want to elect 2 directors, 100,000 share total multiplied by 2 divided by 9 plus 1 is plus 1. example, to elect 3 directors out of 9 position at ACF Limited, 100 voting shares are outstanding. Would require 30,001 voting share to elect 3 directors out of 9. How? Notice that it is important to note that over 30% of the total voting shares are necessary to guarantee the election of 3 out of 9 director position, less than a majority. So you can elect if you have 30,001 vote in 3 position in a 9 position under cumulative voting rules. So management sometimes if the management want to keep outside the minority shareholder or any person who actively play a role in a board of directors, or in a developing countries like Pakistan, the majority shareholder may keep the minority shareholder out of board. In this case, they can reduce the influence of minority shareholder by reducing the number of directors in the board. If the number is reduced to, let's suppose, 6 directors, then you will have more share to elect 1 director. In 9 you need, let's suppose, 10,000. Then in 6 you will, let's suppose, by using this formula, you will have to need more than 15,000 vote. So by reducing the number of directorships on the board, that will create a hurdle for minority shareholder to elect any one director. Or they will make a stager the election term. Stager means half of the board is retired now and half will be elected now, and the half will be retired after 4 years, then half will be elected at that time. So a number of directorship then remain or become very limited and hard for the minority shareholder to elect any director on the board. Reducing the number of directors, this is, let's suppose, a numerical example. Reducing the number of directors up for election from 9 to 4, let's suppose, would increase the voting necessary to elect 3 directors from 30,001 vote to, from this, to 60,001 vote. Now it is very difficult to elect 3 directors because the number of directorship reduce, then it need high number of shares to elect any director. That become then difficult for the shareholder or for the minority shareholder to elect any director over there in the board. Dual class of common stock. This is basically when there is any family who need finances, but also need the control of the business, do this type of arrangement, that there are different classes of common stock. Let's suppose they need financing and they also need control of the company. In this case, dual classes of share are introduced. So in Pakistan, this class A or class B categorizations are no more exist. Class B assets are banned by the government. Only class A assets are there available in the even not class A, ordinary shares everybody will have one vote, one share policy. So there are two classes of common stock usually designated as Class A and Class B. What are the attributes of the Class A? So Class A is usually the weaker voting. They have less voting right. Sometimes it is so that A, let's suppose, have one right, one vote, and B class have, let's suppose, four vote. This is basically give the B class shareholder to hold the control of the company. So weaker voting are non-voting class, and B class is usually a stronger or having more voting than A. And what is the incentives for for people to invest in Class A assets? This is used to retain control of founders, management, or some other specific group. As I discussed earlier, this type of asset categorization is just when a family want to retain the control of their business, or a management want to control of their business, or some other group want to retain the control and also need finances, so they introduce a B class asset as well. Other is, for example, 80,000 share of Class A at 20 per share and 200,000 share of Class B at 2 share. Class A puts up to 80% of the fund, but Class B has over 70% of the vote. In this way, this B class retain its control over the business, and majority, so mostly decisions are made by Class B shareholders. Usually Class B, then what is the benefit to this Class A shareholder? Why they invest in Class A shareholder? Because Class A shareholder is give preference and dividend and claim on assets in case of liquidation. Or maybe some other convertible properties are there in the Class A shares, but usually Class B takes lower claim to dividend and assets. Lower claim how? If the company become, in case of liquidation or in case of earnings, first dividend will be paid to Class A, then dividend will be paid to Class B. But in case of liquidation, the proceeds of the assets, when the company become bankrupt and all and liquidator sell these assets, first of all they will settle the claim of A. If any residual amount rests with the liquidator, it will be paid to the Class B shareholders. So this type of class is basically for control purposes rather than for financing purposes. This all about today's lecture. Thank you.